Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here. And today, well actually tomorrow, Thursday, April 14th, for the North American server at least, update 11.3 is being released. And 11.3 brings a lot of new content into the game and quite a few major balancing changes. So today we're going to go through the update article and just tell you guys what you need to know for the update, so all the highlights and the important things. If you do want to check out the article in full, link to that will be in the description down below if you want to, again, go through that yourself and see all the little changes and such. I will throw up any relevant images or artwork as we go through this article, but let's go ahead and get on in with it. Like I already said, tomorrow the update is going live for the North American server. So the biggest, given how big these ships are, thing coming in with 11.3 is that Tier 11 is being added into the game. What is essentially Tier 11 with the super ships? So they say, in update 11.3, super ships will be added to the tech tree. After several months of testing in various game modes, they are going to become a logical continuation of their branches and will be available to the following players: those who have researched or purchased at least 3 Tier 10 ships, those who have researched a Tier 10 ship of the corresponding branch. So, for example, if you've researched the Preußen, then you can then research the Hanover. Or if you have 3 Tier 10 ships, but none of those lines lead to super ships, you can then research a super ship. The economy of super ships have been crafted in such a way as to avoid their abundance in matchmaking, and to make it so that every battle at the helm of a super ship is carefully planned. You can say that, given the current testing phases of the super ships. We've seen quite some questionable decisions made with super ships. But anyway, they say super ships yield credits at the level of Tier 10 ships, but their service cost is twice as high compared to researchable Tier 10 ships. Permanent camouflage for super ships are purchased separately from the ships, just like for other researchable ships from the tech tree. The permanent camouflage of super ships do not reduce their service cost or increase their credit earnings. However, they do provide a large XP bonus compared to permanent camouflage for Tier 10 ships. And what we've seen here time and time again, and especially with recent changes to the game, they're trying to cut back on the ability of players to easily farm credits. Because, I mean, players like myself that have been playing this game for years, we're sitting on hundreds of millions, sometimes billions of credits. So credits, which used to be the biggest grind in the game for a large part of the community, veteran players that have been around for forever, we don't have to worry about credits, and they want to kind of get away with that, because then you have to play the game more to, of course, earn more credits, and the longer you play the game, the more likely you are to spend money on it. That seems to be the direction that they're going with this. Any permanent camouflages provided with rental super ships on player accounts will be removed. They also note at the bottom in update 11.3, the super ships you're probably familiar with: the Satsuma, the Japanese battleship, the Hanover, the German battleship, the Conde, the French supercruiser, the Annapolis, the Worst Des Moines, the Yamagiri, which is the Japanese DD, the Zorki, which is literally Khabarovsk, the United States, which is literally a Super CV, and Eagle, which is a British Super CV, which is quite broken, will be added to the tech tree. Future ships such as the announced British supercruiser Edgar, for example, will pass a multi-stage testing procedure. The addition of super ships to the tech tree represents an important step for warships. We'll be closely following their statistics and your feedback, and we'll introduce changes if necessary. And of course, we have the Patrie coming up, the French super battleship, which looks utterly ridiculous. And I can't remember what it's called, but they announced a German supercruiser as well. So they seem to be going just full speed into this Tier 11 super ship stage. And of course the question is, well, what happens from here? Because, you know, we're getting more and more modern ships with these super ships. Like, again, the United States is literally designed, I believe, from the late 60s, early 70s. Who knows, maybe we'll have Super Ships 2, which will be effectively Tier 12, but I'm sure they're going to sit here for a while and wait until most lines have some form of super ship in the game before they go on. So those ships will be available to research. Again, they're going to be pretty big credit sinks, though. So Wargaming's logic is that they cost a lot of credits to go into battle, so you won't see too many, which might be true. But I think at first we're going to see a ton of them because, again, you have players that are sitting on hundreds of millions, if not billions of credits. They can easily afford to lose credits while playing these super ships. Alright, next big thing that's coming in this update, the Atlantico Dockyard is beginning with this update, and I will have my Atlantico review out tomorrow, hopefully, if everything goes according to plan. I'm sorry, not tomorrow, Friday, day after the update, if everything goes according to plan. So they say, the building of Pan-American battleship Atlantico commences in the dockyard at update 11.3. The warship will slide down the waves of the British Clydebank Dockyard that saw Marlborough sell out not so long ago. Atlantico is armed with 10 381 15-inch main battery guns that are placed in 5 twin-gun turrets and fire only AP shells. That's something I missed when talking about the Atlantico back when they buffed her. I was saying, well, you only have in regards to secondaries, you have secondaries that not a lot of them can pin 32 millimeters of armor. I mean, the big ones can, of course. So I said, if you take IFHE, then that's going to cut your main battery guns HE fire chance in half, which when you have 15-inch guns at tier 8, that's a big deal because you're going to run to ships that you can't overmatch their bow armor, and if they're bow taking you're going to want to switch to HE and burn them down. So the Atlantico can't do that, which is interesting. But again, my review for that will be out on Friday. And it does make sense that the Atlantico, if you're wondering, is being built in Britain. That was a very real thing with South America. A lot of countries down there bought or commissioned dreadnoughts and super dreadnoughts from the British. That's literally what happened to the Agincourt. So very, 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 very nice nod to history there. Alright, so the dockyard rules. The construction process of the dockyard comprises 22 phases. These shipbuilding phases can be progressed through by completing dockyard combat missions or by spending 1,750 doubloons to pass through each phase. You can complete combat mission groups throughout the entire duration of 11.3 and the first 3 weeks of update 11.4. The dockyard will remain available until the start of update 11.5. Until you can progress through 19 of the 22 phases by completing dockyard combat missions. That means you only need to spend I think it's a little over 5,000 dubs for a tier 8 premium ship, along with all the rewards you get with it, which is a pretty good deal. When players mention how expensive it is to whale through the entire dockyard or how expensive it is to buy the last couple of phases, you're forgetting that you get rewards for each of these 22 phases. And normally if you add up the cost, it does outweigh the cost to whale through the dockyard. I'm not saying do that, absolutely not. That's a ridiculous amount of money for a tier 8 premium ship, but it normally is like $300 or something worth of stuff that you can grind through and earn most of it and pay 5,000 doubloons to get the last couple of phases to get the ship and all. So it's generally a good deal. And the missions, unless they've gone back on what they've been doing very well over the past, well, every single dockyard since Puerto Rico, are generally quite easy to do until they get to the end. Then they're a little bit more challenging, but nothing that your average Joe can't get through. Upon completing the 22nd shipbuilding phase, you receive Atlantico and the war paint camouflage, a commander with 10 skill points, a port slot, and a commemorative flag. If you complete the construction of Atlantico by spending doubloons, make sure to keep progressing through the dockyard combat missions. Completing each phase will earn you 250 still. And again, I do buy through the dockyard to get the ship to review for you guys, and every single time that they've done this, I've always been able to get all the steel or research bureau points they offer after you buy through each phase, so it is a fairly simple thing to do. Of course, for someone like me that plays this game like a second job. Alright, so the Italian DD event is continuing. The ships aren't coming out just yet, so they're still in early access. But one more update, guys. Don't give in to buying the Tier 9 and Tier 10 just yet. One more update, and that is it. Alright, Brawls. We're getting 2 rounds of Brawls in 11.3. So the first one is 9v9 playing Tier 10 ships with no more than 1 CV, 2 battleships, 4 DDs, and 6 cruisers per team. And it starts on Friday, April 15th and ends Tuesday, April 19th. And the second brawl is beginning on Monday, May 9th and ending on Tuesday, May 17th. And this one, no CVs are allowed, no more than 2 battleships, 4 DDs, and 6 cruisers. So, if you're having a real bad time with submarines and CVs, just wait for the second round of brawls, and you ain't got to worry about that at all. And there is an article linking to a detailed description for the Brawls if you want more information on that. Oh, and also too, do go check out this article because there is 1 day of premium time in here, free. It's somewhere in one of the sections, so if you want that, make sure to check that out. 11.3, we are seeing the art department carry the game yet again, we are getting those new snow and sand effects on our ships for this update. So now snow, sand, and I do believe rain will accumulate on your ship as the battle progresses, which is very, very, very cool. And then Tears of the Desert, Trap, Warrior's Path, and Solomon Islands are getting 4K textures, visual effects, new weather, and a new underwater world, among many other new details. Look at some of these images. These are images I think are only in like 1080p, unfortunately. But if you run 4K, I mean, it's beautiful. It really is. I really like to see them update the game and make this game look like a game from 2020 and not 2015 anymore. Alright, so we're getting a couple of new ships in this update. So I already mentioned the Atlantico. You can get the Leone, which is a not-so-great Tier 6 Italian DD in this game as well. And the Maya and the Hornet are coming out in this update as well. We know that the Hornet is coming out on Friday, which that ship's review video will probably be up on Saturday. That is, of course, the carrier that has the B-25s that participated in the Doolittle raid. I'm very excited to see how that ship is in game. Maya's coming as well. I mean, they're adding in the Japanese lacquer perma camo for Maya. They haven't mentioned when she's coming out just yet, but if they're adding in the camo for it, I imagine she'll be coming out with this update as well. Oh, this is also the update where Petropavlos is getting a big nerf to its citadel. It's being raised up out of the waterline to where she has a much larger freeboard now. If you do the math, it's something like 2 feet more freeboard, which doesn't sound like that big of a deal, but that's 50% more citadel being exposed on the Petropavlos. So you'll have much less shots where, of course, since the ship is basically a submarine with how low it sits in the water, you'll have a much better chance of actually hitting its citadel, which is great. So, balance change that really needs to happen with the Petro here. And also the Tashkent's getting buffed. She's being lowered to where she sits lower in the water for some reason. I don't know why now, after all this time, they finally decided to lower the Tashkent and give the Tashkent a buff. Okay. Now, also, they have fixed the server tick rate issue. It's now where your rapid-firing guns should be firing the proper rounds per minute that they should, and we'll test that out once this update goes live as well. And several ships are getting geometry and graphics upgrades as well in this update. So that's all you need to know for update 11.3. Again, there's more smaller details throughout this document if you want to go check this out for yourself, but those are the major things you need to be aware of in 11.3. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure to drop a like, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. We're on our way to 35,000 subscribers, and I cannot thank you guys enough for that. I hope to catch you guys in the next one.